Hi everybody, just out here riding and enjoying the beautiful sunshine. Thought the wife and I thought we'd go for a little ride, and was out, didn't really have anything really I wanted to say, but I got to thinking about a friend of mine. I may have mentioned on here or alluded to in some of my comments that my other hobby besides this old girl is flying remote control airplanes. I got involved in it with my son back when he was 14, and he's now, gosh, he's 26 now, and I've still been doing it. He does too from time to time. We get together and go out and fly, but we have a club we fly at. But we met a bunch of really great guys out there. I want to tell you about a friend of mine. His name's Mark. Now Mark is, he's about 6'4", probably weighs 200 pounds, usually has a white scruffy beard, and he looks for all the world like a tall, skinny Colonel Sanders of Kentucky Fried Chicken fame. He looks just like him, but he's a crazy guy, and he's a real good friend. I really think the world of him. The first time I ever met him, he walked up to me and introduced himself at the flying club, and he said, hi, I'm Mark. I said, how you doing? I'm Sam. He said, I want to tell you something. He said, glad to meet you, but tell you one thing, you're either gonna love me or you're gonna hate me. And that was intriguing. And it turns out that Mark doesn't have much of a filter. You know, you're supposed to filter your comments from the time you create them in your brain to the time they come out your mouth. Well, Mark doesn't have much of a filter, but he's a good guy. He wouldn't hurt a soul. He doesn't have a bad bone in his body. He'll just tell you what he thinks, and that kind of irritates somebody. Well, some people just don't care for it, but I think he's terrific. He always makes me laugh, and we get along real well. He's one of my good friends. But I want to tell you a story. But I don't have a picture of this, and maybe I can put one up, but there's a particular type of remote control airplane that we fly, and he and I he's a little younger, just a few years younger than I am, and still working, but you know, you get older and your reflexes and your eyesight get a little worse every year, and some of the smaller, faster RC planes that we have been flying for years are just getting a little quick. You've really got to pay attention and stay on top of it, or the next thing you know, they'll be going somewhere you don't want them to go, or you'll just lose sight of them and you'll lose them. So we've been going to these big, slow, high-wing planes that pretty much fly themselves. And I had one that I put together and flown it for a while, and Mark didn't have anything at the time to fly. He had a couple of quick little airplanes that, for one reason or another, had gotten away from him. I think the sun got him one time, and before he could get his eyesight back from flying through the sun, he'd lost control and it had crashed. And then another time he had one, he liked to fly gliders, and he would fly them up so high that if they would get in a quick thermal, you know, you could literally lose sight of it in about 5 seconds. That's how it would get that small that quick, that if you blinked or took your eye off of it, it would disappear. And he had I think just lost his last glider that he had a week or so before. So I told him, why don't you just go ahead and take this big old plane. And it's called the Telemaster, and you can look it up on the internet, but they have a reputation of being able to fly themselves. And he would fly this thing around, and he loved it, and he would fly it everywhere. Well, the thing about this plane was, if you took it up good and high and you trimmed it so that it just barely turned one way or the other, you could lay the remote control down. You wouldn't even have to literally fly it. It would literally fly itself around in circles, big, giant, lazy circles up over your head. And he liked to do that a lot. He'd come over and talk to somebody that he'd never met out at the flying field, and he'd be flying the airplane, and they think he's just carrying a radio. And then he'd come and set the radio down, you know, while they're sitting there talking, and he'd point up and say, yeah, see that airplane up there? Yeah, I said, yeah, I'm flying that. And they'd look at him, and look at the radio and look at him, look at the airplane, look back at the radio, and just freak him out. And yeah, that was his favorite thing to do, just messing with people's minds. Well, one day, I think it bit him. I wasn't there, and I just have to recount the story. But he's up there flying around, just letting it fly in lazy circles. And the motor that we had on this thing was actually a 4-stroke motor. It had valves, and it was really, really quiet. It isn't like your normal 2-stroke, like your 2-stroke motorcycle. If you idle it back pretty good, it actually gets really, really quiet, especially when you're way up there. Well, he didn't know it, but for some reason, the engine quit. And the airplane's just going in these lazy circles, slowly coming down, and he's not paying any attention to it. And he finally looks up and realizes that the plane's only about 2 circles away from flying over his head and hitting the ground. And so he picks up the radio and he pushes the remote control throttle up, and nothing happens. That's when he realizes that the motor's quit. And now he doesn't know what to do. And he hollers, and some of the other guys run over there, and he finally gets it down on the ground, and everybody was having a good time laughing at him. It was so funny. It was just going round and round. He had no idea it was off. Well, one day that plane met its doom. It met its end. I don't know what happened. I don't know whether it was a radio failure or a battery went dead or shorted out or what happened. But he was flying it around one day, big lazy circles, and all of a sudden it quit responding. And it was just barely idling, which is how it would normally fly. And it just went circle after circle after circle, slowly coming down and slowly moving downwind. And he had a 99% chance that this thing would land itself. That's how slow it will fly and how good a plane it is. But it was its time. The only rock within 100 yards of where we fly, and that plane went straight into it. And boom, it was just scattered. But we still laugh about it. We had more fun with that plane. He had a great time with it. And I just thought I'd tell you about it. It's one of those things. That's the thing about flying RC airplanes. It's not a matter of if they're going to crash, it's a matter of when. Something is always going to go wrong. But that's okay. That's all a part of it. It's building them, getting new ones, flying them. Sometimes you sell them to somebody, sometimes you just put all the pieces in the trash can. But that's okay. All right, guys, well, enough of the RC talk. You guys take care, and hopefully I'll have some videos soon of some more videos with the quadcopter. Try to get some interesting places. I'm thinking of something like right here. I could come over here and park and walk over here to the bridge and fly the quadcopter upriver here and back the other way as well. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? There's always a chance it'll quit running or something will happen and I can lose it, but you know, we'll just see how that goes too. Alrighty. Well, everybody take care. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.